Okay, I want to talk today about Black South Park, or more specifically, Black representation in South Park. And they have a long history of tackling their version of race issues with their classic kind of unapologetic eye. They don't pretend to be colorblind, they don't pretend to know everything, and somehow they manage to be funny, insulting, and insightful in this mixed combination that I fully embrace. So I want to say right now, I've been a fan of the show since season 1, like episode 3. So I feel like I kind of know this work and what the producers have done with this. Now they come into this, introduce us to this world with Chef, their classic character, right? Like this is who they come at us with, is Chef. And what Chef gives us as their foundation is he represents black people in the beginning. And he's tapping into old black specific soul culture. That old R&B soul tradition. He communicates through music. He especially sexual innuendos, which is classic for that genre. But he represents a generation of black men who are both community anchors and entertainers. And Chef a lot of times was the moral compass around here. He's often the most reasonable and grounded adult in there. He values the kids, even though they're ridiculous. He values all of them. He loves the entire community of South Park, right? He calls them my little crackers all the time. And that's his affectionate way, and being racially blunt at the same time. But that's how he regards the community. And he does see his role as kind of adding some depth to their perspectives, which is what he really does. And this, race isn't avoided, but it's not his whole personality. He's black. We know he's black. There's no way of avoiding it, but he's Chef. And that fully integrates. He has a relationship with the kids and the entire town that's actually very sincere. He's able to talk to Jimbo. He's able to talk to Randy. And we see him move. He talks to everyone. He's a great starting point, but they don't end with that. His exit was kind of messy, but again, that kind of happens when you cross a line. And even that didn't include his black identity. And then, of course, we get Token. Token Black is hysterical on many, many levels, right? He's a satire of tokenism. His name itself is the joke. But they allow Token to be a lot more layered than that. Like, Token's family, and he has a complete family, and that's important, represent this professional, elite black class. They're wealthy, they're educated, they own property. They're a version of black TVness, but they're a version of blackness that TV tends to avoid or underrepresent. South Park leans into it hard. Like, race is acknowledged, but it's not weaponized, right? Cartman repeatedly calls out his blackness, right? Token, you're black, you have a bass guitar, right? We know this. The delivery makes it sound absurd, but it's not malicious. He's leaning into stereotypes really hardcore. But Token is relatively an insider. He's not an outsider. His only awkwardness among everyone else is that he's rich among all these middle-class Colorado families. But they accept him, and they don't even minimize it. And then he has the episode where he does the documentary about Honey Boo Boo, and he says very specifically, like, because it's not a black girl. He talks about what if, when Kyle asks him, why is this okay if it was a little black girl eating hominy grits? He's like, but she's not black. So it shows the writers kind of exploring the intersections of race and media and all these things. So he gets a full character arc, like musical moments, talent, all that stuff. There's a bass guitar in your garage, right? Go get it. And that's who he is. They go a little further when they introduce Nicole, who's one of my favorite characters. Like, Nicole's arrival kind of deepens South Park's black representation, because she's not just there to be Token's love interest. Despite, like, we see what Tartman sees her and immediately targets her for that, right? And he's targeting this because it has to be. This is his view of the world. But they're not like that. Token isn't like that, and neither is Nicole, right? You can see them kind of being forced together. With grape soda, that's not lost. The grape soda, that says Cartman again. And this is why. But they're just treated like regular kids by the entire cast. In fact, she has a thing for Stan. I think Token starts dating Wendy at this time. So that kind of really humanizes them, that they're just like everybody else. They're in the mix. They're not absent from the rest of the crew. They're an integral part of it, which I think is one of the beautiful messages that these guys just kind of simplify. And then we get further. We get into the Crips and Bloods representation. Remember this episode when Jimmy and Timmy end up joining the Crips. And this is just a pure just stroke of just brilliance, because it takes on this gang culture. One of the facets of black American culture. And it shows how white suburbans kind of perceive the slice of black America, but don't fully understand it. This is how they absorb it. This is how they kind of rationalize it. But it's at the same time that they build it as these ignorant outsiders who are absorbing this culture, seeing this culture through Jimmy and Timmy. But at the same time, they got the look right. It's weird how they got the look. Like when we watch these guys, how they move, how they act is extremely accurate, right? It's funny, like the music that they listen to, their fat, even the bloods, like everyone's like very accurate. And even this, you get a bunch of diversity. You get dudes with fros and braids. Like it's a lot of diversity going on here. And this is kind of a master stroke because like this is two white guys from Colorado, like with observational detail skills that are next level. And then Jimmy and Timmy's role in this is just a brilliant stroke because one, it's their ignorance of all this, their naivety that allows them to even infiltrate. The thing about it is that the gang absolutely accepts them. There's no pushback on the gang. They literally welcome them with names, Little Roller and Four Legs. They're bringing them in because they don't care about all this stuff. You're down with us, we're down for you, and that's what that community really is from this outsider look. This is just a brilliant way of breaking this shit down. And even in the end, like this is the scene where they kind of brokered this deal. Their simple, naive, thought frame allowed them to get these guys together. Like the phrase is so simple, come on, right? And it works on so many different levels. Then, of course, one of the better moments is, Nagger Guy episode, which just deals with like a hot plate. This is one of their sharpest episodes, and it takes out like the ugliest word in culture and puts it right in your face through Randy's cluelessness. So Randy then in turn, and you can see it, right? Like Randy in turn ends up getting the full brunt of, I couldn't find the image. He gets the full brunt of saying this word in public. People are now ostracizing him. And then you see him move through all these black spaces, and we see all these black representations that are going on there. We get the black camera guy, right? This is important. Black guy working as a cameraman. Regular job. Nothing black about this. Not a black job. There's black people in the audience, right? Look at Shelly and Stan's faces right there. But there's black people in the audience. And then diversity. True representation with braids and all that. And then he starts moving around black culture. Randy himself does. He becomes this representative. And we see him like at the drum circles or the poetry readings. At the comedy club, right? He's moving within these circles. So they're kind of showing that black people are not a monolith. Whereas other writers, flatten it. They're showing the dexterity to it. They're showing like how many peaks and valleys, like different angles there are to this culture. And then we get the classic Jesse Jackson scene, which again, you have another like actual black person there and how he's perceived by white people. This is what's really important. This is a crucial moment because they put so much history behind this image. For you guys to understand the history, somebody kissing Jesse Jackson's ass, that is deeper than just a surface level description. They understand something about who this man was and what his historical impact, has been. So him being, Pope of black people, right? And then Tolkien coming back and saying he is not the emperor of black people, which is what a black person would say when presented with that. So again, white perception, black reality not being the same. And I think they did a good job of capturing that. And then we get to Classi. And I love Classi, right? Classi represents, again, this subculture. This is the more urban part of the culture, right? Like everybody has it. And they represent it with other characters as well. But she is the ultimate trap queen persona, which how they even got that, I have no idea. But they put her in there and she's strong, she's assertive, right? We don't run from who she is or her cultural relevance. But the thing that we can't forget about Classi is that she had agency. Classi was not there to be abused. Classi was not there to take anybody's crap. When Nathan, ironically, gets out of hand with her, she handles that business, man. She gets down to business right off the bat. She does not hesitate. And then we move Butters into this scene, into the pimp universe, right? This is hysterical because this is early 2000 pimp interview. There's literally a documentary. I think it's called Pimps Up, Hoes Down. You can probably find it. And this is what it is. So this tells me that Trey and Matt were watching this. Again, we know that these guys consume American media. They consume our culture. And this is just a great example because you will be able to pick actors in this episode out of the documentary. That's how authentic they are. So they do a really good job. They're not being lazy. They're consuming culture and they're processing and understanding it. Not making any judgments, but acknowledging that it's there, right? Then one of my favorites is the Black Vamp Kid, the Black Goth nerd subculture, which is super important because black nerds get the least amount of representation, and when it's done, it's usually Urkel. But he takes on a black goth kid in a super specific lane. And the thing about it that's funny is that he knows his gothic literature. He says it. All gothic literature is derivative of Poe, motherfucker. Which is like wraps him up like so simplistically. You see him sometimes with the Twilight era subculture, and he remains this like emo. He's this melodramatic ego that typically we only see with white kids, but he is distinctly black. He does not move away from it. And what they're saying is black people are not a type. Black people are types, plural, and they show it with this guy. And he totally gets the culture. And I will go crazy on you. I love this. I love this character right here. And then we get a wide body of just other characters. We see, obviously, this version of Michael Jackson comes in, and his completely unique brand that they clearly have some type of like fixation with. So they show Michael Jackson repeatedly into some hilarious results. And then, of course, we get into like, you know, the You Got Served crew. Then, of course, we see representations of Tupac, which I love, Nicki, and Kanye West. So they do show a wide body of black culture. South Park has a rich black culture, and we can't deny it. And the way that they analyze it, critique it, make fun of it, laugh with it is just brilliantly balanced, because Trey and Matt treat black people the same way they would any other American group of people. We're going to look at your inconsistencies, we're going to laugh at your like contradictions, we're going to like roast you, but if there's funny things that you say that are smart, we're going to represent you too. And that is something that, while they're doing all the political stuff right now, which is great, I just wanted to highlight how deep they've been on their social commentary for a very long time. Welcome to